everybody, today I'm gonna show you how to fully draw a sword using Clip Studio Paint. Now what we're going to achieve is probably going to be very similar of this old piece of mine, so if you're interested on how to create something similar to this, stay tuned. First things off, I previously downloaded different brushes from the awesome Clip Studio Paint community, so I'm probably not going to use only default brushes, but you can use them or you can use whatever brushes you want. There's no rule to this. Feel free to get creative and use whatever you want. We're going to learn how to use and create a sword using the ruler, which is situated right here, and we're going to be using this symmetrical rule specifically. So what we're going to do is tracing a line, tracing a straight line, and with this everything that we're going to draw is going to be reflected on the other side. Let me get some brush, and as you can see, everything that we're going to draw is totally reflected on the opposite side of the ruler. This is very handy, especially when you're going to make a design for a sword or any sort of weapon that has a symmetry to it, like hammers or blades, long swords, or daggers, whatever you want to create. First things off, let's think about what do you want to create with this sword. Let's place a simple shape for it first. Now, it's very important that you think of where you want things to go. Now, for example, this is going to be a simple sword, not a long sword or anything like that. So it's important to think of proportions too if you want to create something realistic. So the basic shape of a sword, I think everyone knows it. It's this super simple, this is a big sword, but this is a simple shape, and you can totally use this. But today I'm going to create something more full, you know, with more details. And first thing off, I actually usually choose a theme, and for this word I actually wanted to choose a theme that would be something that a knight could use, you know. So let's start with the shape. I usually start with a blade because it's just easier for me to start with the blade, but you can do whatever you want, really. It's not a rule. You don't necessarily have to start with a blade. So I'm gonna do my simple shape right here, and then starting from this shape that I'm creating, we're going to add more and more details until we're happy with what we have. Really just get the flow going into you. Really let yourself go and find forms and shapes that you're really going to like on the piece. This is mostly going to be a fantasy world. I mean, you can create something realistic to get in a more realistic world, but I generally create stuffs for fantasy world or an anime world if you prefer. So places that not necessarily, they don't necessarily follow the rules that we have to follow in our worlds, so to speak. So even if the blade technically is going to break or whatever, just don't care. If you like your work, that's the important. We're going to create a design. Let's not care about the physics for a second, but if you do care, be careful, and you can use a reference to understand where the blade has to be thicker or thinner and act as a consequence. So this is not going to be a realistic type of proportion. it could break if a real knight held it in a battlefield. Oh, I don't care about that. I mean, I don't. Not right now. So this is the general shape that I'm feeling for the blade. I'm gonna add some gems here and there just because I really like gems, and I think they give so much personality to a sword and they make it look a lot prettier. So right now I'm just adding details to the blade just to see where the flow is bringing me, like where do I want this sword to go. Now, since this is going to be, as I decided previously, a knight sword of the rose, maybe of a blue rose, I'm going to go and create something that goes along with that flow. Something elegant, something that resembles my idea. Unfortunately, you'll have to use the rubber on both sides because it's pretty nice that the symmetry ruler does not copy this particular rubber, because with this you can decide to make things a little bit asymmetrical without having to disable the ruler, and it's something that is actually very handy, so I don't dislike it at all. Let's see. Okay, so we have right now the general shape of the blade. I feel like it's missing something though. But let's think about the handle first. Oh, I want it to be elegant, so let's create something along the elegant side. Right now I'm adding pretty much tiny details that I really feel like adding in my sword. You don't necessarily have to make so many details. Oh, you can make more. It's really up to you. Just feel your sword and create it as a consequence of your ideas. I'm gonna put a rose in the middle, but for now I'm just going to create the general shape that I want around. So I'm not gonna care too much about the rose right now, but we're going to add it later. Now, right now, I was thinking that I could resemble how sharp a rose is. I'm sorry. You know, a rose can be extremely beautiful, but at the same time, they can hurt you, as a sword can do. So I was thinking that we could add that feature here around to make the look more interesting. It's already coming together with a lot of detail, as you can see, and I didn't do much. I just let myself go. Now let's create the handles. Now let's do something like a simple shape, maybe, just to start to understand. Oh, see, it's understand where we want to go. Now I'm gonna use this tool right here to rotate in the navigator, to rotate my drawing and have a better feeling on these handles. With this tool I can create straight lines even if the drawing is you know, this tool helps me create straight lines by rotating the canvas, and it's pretty handy, so I suggest everyone use it if you need to create straight lines. Try not to exaggerate, as I sometimes I do exaggerate with my designs because I'm just having so much fun doing them and I just end up exaggerating. This wood already looks so heavy, but it's probably because it's extra busy here, but actually it's empty space, so it's not going to be that heavy. I'm gonna delete here and change. As you can see, you know, you don't really have to stick with the original design. If you feel like changing something, just change it. It's really up to you. Gems are very elegant, and I usually add them to my blades to make them more mystical. Like, I guess, who forged this? You can literally create a story out of your drawing. When we're going to color, it's going to be sharpened up a lot more, so don't worry too much about thick lines if you have them. Okay. For this part, for the handle, I'm going to keep on a simpler design just because I don't want to make it look too heavy. I'm still gonna connect it to here. Try not to make this part too busy, just because technically someone is going to be holding this word right here. So if you make it too busy, it's going to be very hard for the supposed knife to actually hold this word. We're basically already almost done with the shape. I think I'm going to select this part, and as you can see, the selection literally goes along with you, which is totally amazing, and it's all thanks to this tool. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because I think it really is too busy right now. And as you can see, the tool stays still, and you can still check where the center is. You can also go near to your piece so that you can see best where your symmetry tool is in order to be able to continue to draw even after you apply these such modifications. Like here, and the selection is totally gone. We don't have to worry about it anymore. As you can see, I mean, at least to me, it looks already less busy. I'm going to select this tool and bring the piece more upward. As you can see, it follows together with the roll, which is amazing because it don't lose the center of the symmetry, and it's very important. I'm also going to make the handle a little bit longer because I feel like it's too small. So again, selection tool, transform, and you can decide what type of transformations you want. For this example, you can see that if I'm holding, I'm just making this bigger, but I don't want it bigger, I want it longer. So on this side, on the right side of the program, right here, I have to enlarge it a little bit. We have this tool, and we can select what we want to do. If we select free transformation, we're going to be able to enlarge everything. I'm gonna say okay, I'm gonna deselect, and I'm gonna add a piece of the handle. Okay, now that it's more proportionated, our knight will be able to hold this sword. I'm gonna make this thing hole a little bit smaller to fit it best in the canvas. Like that. Perfect. Let's go back, and now I can I'm gonna make a diamond, maybe like this. Or you could put a rose, wherever feels for you. Now, I'm gonna add a rose to the center of the sword, right here. As we said, it's going to be a sword with the blue rose, so we're going to add, supposedly, a blue rose. To do this, you can use references, it's very handy, or you can use this tool, which is also very handy. I'm not gonna use it, but I'm still gonna show it to you if you want to use it. I'm selecting this tool, which is called decoration, and it's also, you can click B if you want it more quickly. I'm going on flowers, and if we go down, there are a lot of flowers, and there are roses too. So if you want a rose, you can just simply click. We can choose how many and how big we want these roses to be. I need a single one, so what I'm going to do is say less particle size, bigger particle size, and less particle density. As you can see, we have roses. You can select them, put them in the middle, but as you can see, it's a different style from mine, so I'm not gonna be using this tool. But if you want, this is too big. There, for example. There, that's perfect. That's literally what we need. But you can also use this as a reference for yourself. You create some roses and then you copy them in the center. You could also do that. I'm going back to my tool, and I'm going to try and create a rose using the symmetrical tool, because it's not going to be a real rose. It's a sword rose. Someone crafted this. As you can see, it's not a real rose. It's kind of fake, like you can tell it's not a real flower, but I just want a representation of this rose, not the real rose. Here we go. We can add them around if you want, but I don't want to make this too busy, as I already said. Now we have a general shape, and we took only around 20 minutes to make it. We have our general shape. We can start to color. Now, what I usually do when I start to color is create a new layer, and I'll put it underneath my sketch. Since my ruler disappeared, I'm going to create it again. There we go, perfectly placed. Now, what kind of palette do we want for this sword? Since it's going to be a blue rose sword, I think that the major color is going to be blue. So I'm just starting with a blue feeling in the center of this color. Oh my god, this rose, I really love it. So for the blade, I could use this silver maybe. It's a bluish silver. I'm probably going to make it more light later. If you click on this, what's called lock transparent pixel, you're going to be able to color without going outside of the lines you already colored previously, and it's very handy if you want to quickly change color to something you already colored. For example, as I'm doing for the blade. Now, I'll show you a trick if you want to see your colors more intensely. All you're got to do is create a new layer and put it underneath every layer that you created. It has to be basically a background color. We're going to select the dark color, and with this tool we're going to fill. As you can see where your color is heading more precisely. You can see there's some kind of errors all around here and there, just thanks to the fact that we have a darker background color. So I'm going to delete these mistakes real quick. Perfect. Now we're ready to color. For coloring, I usually pick the lineart or sketch layer and select lock transparent pixel. With this tool selected, I'm going to be able to color the lineart without going outside. I'm going to select a dark blue and then color the whole sword. As you can see, it completely changes. Feel free to play with this tool and the colors that you want to apply to your piece. There we go. Now, I'm going to quickly add shadows to my piece. You're free to do this whenever way you want. I'll suggest you never use pitch black for shadows. It's going to make your piece look more dead, so to speak. It's going to be bland and boring. You can do it, but I highly suggest not using a pitch black. I'm gonna show you the difference real quick. Now, if you want to create something without going outside of the border, you can do it. As you can see, I'm doing it right now. How I did this is simply by clicking this clip to layer below, and it's going to literally everything that you draw, it's not going outside what you've already colored in the layer below, which could be anything you want. When you're happy with your placement of your shadow, you can start blending all the colors. How I do this process is by merging every layer that I possess into only one. So I'm going to click on my right button and click merge with layer below. And again, merge layer below. I've also deleted the rulers and I'm ready to create a new one in order to work more fastly. There we go. Now we can start to color. I usually work on a single layer because I like it, but you can also not do this process and just color as you're used to and don't care about merging the layers. So I'm going to quickly be coloring the sword and then I'll show you where to place lightning and how to do it. A quick off topic is if you want to delete with a brush and be able to delete on both sides, all you've got to do is to take a brush and click here. And what this will do is it will delete on both sides. And here we have the finished piece. Thank you for following my tutorial, and I hope you will create amazing weapons.